What's up, guys? It's Carly with FasciNATIVE English, where if you are finally ready to take your English to another level and to begin speaking English like a native English speaker, then you've come to the right place. So let's get into it. All right, guys, I kind of have a different video for you all today. I have an abbreviation that we are going to go over in this video. And usually I don't post many abbreviations. I'm thinking about doing like a whole segment on abbreviations later on down the line. But usually we go over like slang and idioms and phrases and stuff like that here on my channel. But I was thinking the other day, because I used this abbreviation verbally. And I was like, you know what? Some abbreviations that we text, we also use verbally, but we change it just a little bit. So I thought it would be helpful to go over these today. So today's abbreviation that we will go over, which I guess you can say we change it into kind of like a slang or a slang phrase, is BTW. So if you write it, if you text it to somebody, you say BTW. But if you want to say it out loud to someone, you can say BTW, but you can also say BTDubs, BTDubs. So it's just a B and then a T and then D-U-B-S, BTDubs. And you might hear this a lot. Like I said, when I got this idea to do this video, I actually used it and I was like, it made me think, because I was talking to my friend and I was like, oh, BTDubs. And then I finished the sentence, of course, but then I was thinking to myself, light bulb. BTDubs, this is a good thing to go over with you guys. Like, you know, a lot of people think you can only use this in like texting or when you're writing something, but no, you can say it verbally as well. You might have seen or heard other people, you know, maybe you're watching TV and there's people are texting and you're like, okay, I have to go. But instead of saying I have to go, they put G to G, got to go, G to G, right? Or maybe some people put TTYL, talk to you later. So there's a bunch of different abbreviations we use when we like text or when we write. They're called written abbreviations, where it's something that we want to say that's long, like maybe a whole sentence, but we don't feel like writing the sentence because we're a little bit lazy. Ain't nobody got time for that. So we shorten it. And so talk to you later shortens to TTYL. Or I love you is IOY, you know, or I have to go or I got to go is G to G, you know, they shorten it. So the one that we're going over today though, BTW, means by the way. And when you say it verbally, we say BTDubs, all right? I hope I haven't confused you all so far. I'm telling you, Americans, we make slang out of everything. We make random idioms, random phrases, and we abbreviate anything that we could possibly abbreviate. So bear with me, you all. So BTDubs is how we say this abbreviation. Like I said before, just to reiterate one more time, usually we use these written, all right? So when you're texting or when you're writing or when you're typing, you can put BTW. But when you say it out loud, a lot of times you might hear BTDubs rather than BTW, all right? So BTDubs means by the way, right? By the way. BTDubs. And you might be like, why do you guys say dubs? Well, it's because W, the W sounds like dubs, right? Dubs, BTDubs. So that's why we say BTDubs. So now to go on this story, I wonder how many times I've said BTDubs in the past.
The limit does not exist.
5 seconds, you know? Now to get on for the story for today, my friend and I, we recently just took a trip to Chicago, and it was her first time going to Chicago. So I wanted to make this trip memorable for her. I have already been to Chicago a few times, like maybe this was my 3rd or 4th time going there. So I kind of knew, like, you know, the city a little bit and what to do and what not to do. And, you know, I knew how to navigate everywhere. And I wanted to kind of, you know, show her what Chicago has to offer, because honestly, I've been all over the world and Chicago remains one of my favorite cities. It's a beautiful city, depending on where you are. I'm not gonna lie. There's a lot of bad parts of the city too, but there's a lot of beautiful parts as well. So I wanted to show her everything Chicago had to offer. So when we were planning this trip, she kind of thought that I was just gonna wing it, which if you guys watched my video on Wing It, I talked about possibly winging this trip and not really planning so much. But then as I you know, thought about it more and more. And as the trip began to get closer and closer to the time we were going to leave, I was like, you know what? I don't really want to wing it this time because I want to make sure she experiences everything she can possibly experience. Because this is her first trip. You know, maybe if it was both of our like second or third time going, I would wing it. And I would just like we'll wake up from the hotel and be like, okay, where do you want to go? You know, and just go wherever, go with the flow. But this time I was like, no, I really want to show her like everything that you could possibly see and do in Chicago that I know of. So I researched a lot. Like I was on Pinterest, which is like my favorite place to go when I'm bored and I don't have anything to do. I go to Pinterest basically and I look up like random things. So I was on Pinterest looking up things to do in Chicago. I went to TikTok and I searched top Chicago eats, like what to eat in Chicago. I was on Google and I was like, making sure like everything is within walking distance or you can take the subway or something, you know. I was planning everything out and I made this itinerary for her. And I didn't really tell her until like a week before the trip. And I was like, hey, yo, BTDubs, I made this itinerary for our trip. And I said this because she said something along the lines of she wanted to do, like there was one thing that she wanted to do or something in Chicago. And I was like, oh yeah, I can add that to our itinerary. And she was like, oh, you made an itinerary? I thought we were going to wing it. And I was like, oh yeah, BTDubs, I did make an itinerary for us. We are not going to wing it this time. I want you to experience everything Chicago has to offer. So I made this itinerary and I like pull it up and I'm like, ta-da, here's our itinerary. And I made it so nice and neat. Like I took a screen recording of it, but I was like, okay, and this and this and this and this and this, and then we could do this and this and this and this. You know, I was like all planned out and I had reservations I had already made. I didn't even really ask her. I was like, girl, you're going with me.
Get in, loser, we're going shopping.
All right. This is now my trip. But no, honestly, she was just like cool with it. She was like, yo, you plan it. Just tell me what I need to do, where I need to go, how much it costs. And that's that. So that's what I did. I was like, okay, we're going to start off here and then we're going to go here. I love making itineraries. It's like my hobby. Like I had a couple years ago, I had a friend who went to Japan. He's like also one of my best friends. And he asked me like, what is there to do? And I'm like, bro, I got you.
I got you, homie.
I got you, boo. And I made a whole itinerary. He's a flight attendant, so he was only there for like 3 days. But I made a whole itinerary for him. And I was like, you got to do this. And then I was like searching like the best place for him to stay, like the hostel or whatever. And I was like, okay, you stay here. And then it's easy to get to here. And you can take this subway line and this subway line. Like, honestly, this should be like my job on the side. I should get yet another job and just be like a planner for people, like a travel planner or something, but down to like every second of every day, I could plan it out for them. But anyways, so I'm pretty good at this. So I told my friend like, BTDubs, I made an itinerary. This is what we're gonna do. And I sent it to her and she's like, wow, you're like, she's looking at it. It's like a little screen recording of everything. And she was like, wow, you're so organized. I'm so excited. And then obviously we went on our trip. We had a blast. It was amazing. But actually when we were on our trip is when we were talking and I said, oh yeah, BTDubs something. And that's when I got the idea to make this video because BTDubs, I hear it often, but because I know what it means and that it's an abbreviation, I didn't really consider it as slang, but I do think when we say it verbally, it could possibly go in the slang category. BTDubs, by the way. So I hope you guys liked this video. If you did, please click the like button, comment, and subscribe, and I hope to see you all in the next video.